All right, let's jump straight into it. Today, we're unpacking Volume 8 of the deeply profound Shurangama Sutra. But we're not just going to read it like some dusty old history book. No, we're doing something really cool. We are taking its famous and honestly highly complex 55 stages of spiritual cultivation and translating them into a modern visual syllabus. Think of it as the ultimate university degree, but for upgrading your own consciousness. Now, the text hits us right away with this amazing analogy, like cleaning a vessel of toxic honey before filling it with ambrosia. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't pour fresh, pure spring water into a cup that's coated in poison, right? You've got to scrub that cup clean first. And that's exactly how this syllabus begins. Before we can even hope to absorb ultimate wisdom, we have to completely purify our mental container. So here's our syllabus for today's explainer. We're mapping out this cosmic curriculum from delusions straight to complete enlightenment. We'll start with the ultimate learning map, check out the admission prerequisites, dive into the 55-stage core curriculum, look at the karma and samsara traps you definitely want to avoid, and finally, chart out your path to awakening. All right, moving right into part 1, the ultimate learning map, our modern guide to ancient wisdom. We're treating the profound cosmology of this sutra like a structured academic degree. And you know what's truly fascinating here? This isn't just about blind faith. It's a precise, highly logical progression of mental states. The sutra is literally laying out the universe's ultimate curriculum for upgrading the human mind, dodging karmic traps, and achieving complete enlightenment. It's basically an exact science of consciousness where cause aligns perfectly with effect. Which brings us to part 2, the admission prerequisites, or cleaning the mind. Look, before you can even register for the core classes, you absolutely have to pass these prerequisites, known as the 3 gradual steps. You literally can't enroll in the higher stages without passing these first. Step 1, cut off physical dietary triggers, removing that external fuel. Step 2 is permanently severing core desires, like lust and stealing. You're ripping out the root of internal toxic habits. And step 3 is turning your senses completely inward away from worldly distractions, bringing your focus entirely into your newly purified mind. Now, here's a detail that might surprise you. Something as simple as eating certain pungent roots, we're talking onions, garlic, things like that, can completely derail your progress. Why? Well, the text is super specific. It says when these are cooked, they incite lust, and when eaten raw, they trigger anger. This literally fuels emotional fires, attracts hungry ghosts to your energy, and repels protective forces. But by sticking strictly to moral precepts alongside this diet, you stop making karmic enemies and finally stabilize your foundation. Okay, on to part 3, the 55-stage core curriculum, also known as the Bodhisattva path. Once you've cleared those prerequisites and scrubbed your vessel clean, boom, you officially begin the 55-stage curriculum. And it starts right here at the dry wisdom ground. This is the starting line. Your worldly desires are totally dried up. But, and here's the catch, you haven't yet connected with the Buddha's flowing water of Dharma. So it's this state of pure, crystal clear intellect. It's brilliant, sure, but it's still waiting to be nourished by deeper spiritual truth. You're completely dry of the toxic stuff, but you haven't tapped the ultimate source yet. This is where that modern learning map really comes into play. It brilliantly illustrates how these daunting 55 stages are actually chunked into cohesive, manageable modules. First, you eliminate habit energy in the 10 faiths. Then you move directly into developing pure wisdom during the 10 dwellings. After that, the 10 practices shift your focus outward to actively benefiting living beings, which then lets you redirect all that incredible merit toward ultimate nirvana in the 10 dedications. Finally, the 4 editions act as these intense capstone modules for blending your mind entirely with Buddha nature. It really is a masterpiece of spiritual pedagogy. So, how does all this build up? Let's look at the final sprint of this curriculum, which literally spans across cosmic eons. First, you progress through the 10 grounds, where you master the ultimate spiritual laws of reality. Next up is the penultimate eon, equal awakening, where your awareness exactly matches that of the Buddhas. And then, the ultimate graduation day, marvelous awakening, complete, unexcelled Buddhahood, the absolute pinnacle of the map. But what if things go south? That brings us to part 4, karma and samsara traps, or as I like to call it, academic probation. Seriously, what happens if you fail the coursework? What if you get distracted by worldly illusions and slip back into old habits? Well, the text outlines a very strict physics of karma here. It divides our mental output into 2 distinct categories. The inner part is driven by emotions, lust, and attachment, creating a wet, heavy, sinking energy. Meanwhile, the outer part is driven by pure thought, moral precepts, and spiritual vows, which creates a light, flying energy. It is quite literally spiritual gravity pulling you down into the ghost realms versus spiritual buoyancy lifting you up to the heavens. And the sutra actually gets into exact mathematics here, which is fascinating. For instance, if your mind consists of 9 parts emotion and only 1 part pure thought, this exact ratio physically drags your consciousness into the terrifying fire realms of the hells. A 90% emotion to 10% pure thought ratio mathematically guarantees a severe downward trajectory. Your mental state is literally calculating your physical destination. And let's talk about those environments you sink into, because they aren't just random, arbitrary punishments. Your internal toxic habits are literally manifesting as your external environment. Inner lust, that crystallizes into literal beds of fire and copper pillars. Greed turns into freezing ice and bitter cold. Arrogance manifests as boiling sand and rivers of blood. Anger becomes mountains of flying blades, and deceit creates an environment of crushing chains. Basically, the universe is holding up a terrifyingly accurate mirror to your own mind. 108. That is the staggering number of distinct hell realities a mind can fall into just from a single, isolated karmic offense. Think about that. Just one wrong turn, driven by delusion, fragments out into this massive geometry of suffering. If nothing else, this really highlights just how absolutely vital those admission prerequisites are for keeping us safe right from the start. Which leads us to our final section. Part 5, Your Path to Awakening and the Final Choice. As we wrap up this learning map, we really need to address the ultimate goal of all this intense studying. It's crucial to remember that even if you achieve the incredible longevity of a mountain immortal or the intense bliss of the highest desire heavens, you actually haven't graduated yet. The sutra explicitly warns us that these are just upper electives. Sure, they feel like ultimate success, but you are still trapped inside the cycle of samsara. Eventually, the merit runs out, and the student drops right back down. True graduation means completely exiting the cycle forever. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on today. Where do you currently stand on this ultimate cosmic map? What daily habits are keeping you from reaching the next level of your own awakening? Are you still struggling with those admission requirements, or are you actively charting your way through the 55 stages? The syllabus has been provided. The rest of the coursework, well, that's entirely up to you.